the NFL before I get on up out of here. Um, I talked about we talked about the kickoff rule. I want y'all to go check out the fans' point of view episode. I'll probably be clipping that up and posting that on YouTube today, man. But that was a good conversation and everything. Just some of the another quarterback who I want to talk about who I think is a good. And this ain't just because I've heard other people saying this, but this is because I pulled up stats and he's one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to completion percentage in the NFL, even with taking as many sacks as he has in the past. And that's Daniel Jones with the New York Giants. See, people are already sitting there like, what are you talking about? But look, I'm about to tell y'all right now what I'm talking about when it comes to Daniel Jones. He is one, his completion percentage is still one of the highest, even where he's at, right? And this we talking Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones is that guy, man. Hold up, and I'm gonna get it pulled up here for the people that's on YouTube with me right now. For the people that's on YouTube with me, and I'll read it to the people that might be following me on the podcast on Apple, iHeart, or whatever else you might be listening to. So I'm gonna get the ESPN stats pulled up here, and then I'm gonna share them, right? And we're gonna go by and we're gonna share the tab, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit. Oh, okay. Can you see it on there? Like, let me get it pulled up here. So that's the ESPN stats for players for in the NFL, and then we're gonna go by completion percentage, right? So I'm gonna click on completion percentage. Where does Daniel Jones land when it comes to completion percentage in the NFL? In the NFL, and we're not talking about quarterbacks that came in and played temporarily. So, do we count Kirk Cousins at Minnesota? I think so because he had 311 attempts. He completed 216 of them. So I think Kirk Cousins counts in the completion percentage. He had what we'll say 70 because it's 69.5. If you can't see, 69.5, right? All right. So let me get that pulled up a little bit bigger for people that's that's watching. Okay. So Mason Rudolph in Pittsburgh. I really need. I don't know if we can go off of that, even though the Titans picked him up, but I don't know if we could say that because he had 74 attempts. I like to go over 100 when it comes down to this, but he had 74 completion percentage. Jake Browning and Cincinnati, I think we got to count him. I mean, he played a significant part of the season, 243 attempts, 171 completions, 70% of his passes complete for 1,936 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, sacked 24 times, had a QB rating of 60 and a passer rating of 98. We know y'all talk what y'all want about Dak Prescott, but he is the most playing a full season. Dak Prescott is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, even over Tua with the Dolphins. But see, I like that. And Brock Purdy's also very accurate. So, very accurate. So, in my list, I would say Dak Prescott is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, hands down, period. My number two would be obviously off of this list, off ESPN's list, I would say it was Brock Purdy because he played 16 games for 308 completions out of 444 attempts for 69%, 4,280 yards. He had 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He was sacked 28 times, had a quarterback rating of a 73 because it's 72.8. So we'll say 73 here, and a passer rating of 113. Tua is still, and this is why I was telling the Dolphins fans, he is a accurate quarterback. He is a very accurate quarterback with a very high output. His output is one of the attempts is one of the highest in the NFL with 560, and he's completed 388 of those passes, has a completion percentage of 69%, 4,624 yards. He had 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, sacked 29 times, have a quarterback rating of 61, and a passer rating of 101. All right. Derek Carr. So what you want about him? He is a accurate quarterback. See, I think we get caught up in the things that's pretty in Derek Carr. Okay, 375 completions out of 548 attempts, 68% completion percentage, 3,878 yards. He had 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I like that ratio. For a 17 game, I like that ratio. That's not bad. Sack 31 times. 31 times he was sacked. Dak Prescott was sacked 39 times, and he had 36 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Dak Prescott is, I don't know why people can't say Dak is the best quarterback. That's why Jerry Jones ain't letting that man go nowhere. His stats are showing. I don't care what time he don't win or whatever else it is. He's one of the best, dog. In doing it. Anyhow, we talking about Derek Carr. Derek Carr quarterback rating, 57% quarterback rating, and he has a 98 passer rating. Nick Mullins had over 100 yards for Minnesota. He had 100 completions, 148 attempts. He only played 5 games. In 5 games, had a completion percentage of 68, 1,306 yards, had 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I don't like that for Nick Mullins. That's bad. I don't like that. I don't like the touchdown to interception ratio at all. Now I don't like Daniel Jones neither, but Nick Mullins, he proven to be a little bit of, he been accurate. Daniel Jones, right? And he's in that same boat right now as the Nick Mullins, right? You got to say that, right? Him and Nick Mullins is like similar because he threw for way more interceptions than he did touchdowns. He only threw 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But tell me who has he had beside Darren Waller, right? And you like, wow. I honestly think he has a chance of being a offensive player, a comeback player of the year. I think he's accurate, yo. He's accurate. I like the way he plays. Um, he can move with his feet. Hey, and Daniel Jones stats: 6 games, 108 completions for 160 attempts, 68 completion percentage, 909 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, sacked 30 times. All right, the quarterback rating was 36%. His passer rating is 71%. All right, 71. Yeah, I wouldn't really, pay attention to that too much. I really wouldn't, man. With him when it comes down to him, because he can get the job done. And early on, and let me be honest too. So in the midst of those first 6 games when he was playing, and in the midst of the beginning of the season, his accuracy showed up a lot. Drop passes, um, 30 sacks, getting sacked. That don't help, man. It just don't help. You know what I mean? Um, and then also want to read off the stats of our quarterback now that we have now, our backup, right? And by the way, Lamar Jackson was sacked 37 times last year, in 16 games. That's up there. So they knew that they had to improve on that offensive line, and I think they did a little bit. I think they may have filled some gaps there. But Russell Wilson last year was just behind Josh Allen when it came to completion percentage. They both at 67%. You could say 66.4 is where Russell Wilson is at. But Russell Wilson has 200 out of his 297 completions. He threw for 447 attempts. Like I said, 66% completion percentage, 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He was sacked 45 times, ladies and gentlemen. 45 times Russell Wilson was last year. 45 times. That's a hell of a lot of being sacked. 45 times. That probably, so if we go about the most in the NFL, Sam Howell was sacked 65 times. Bryce Young was sacked 62 times. Russell Wilson, the most sacked, and when we looking at the most sacked quarterbacks, the most sacked, um, Lamar Jackson is sitting at number 9 in the NFL with most sack quarterback. 37 sacks he took last year, and he made the playoffs. He was a game short for being in the Super Bowl. That's amazing. Okay. But we know Big Ben was winner. CJ Stroud, 38 sacks. And he was obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. 38 times, made the playoffs. Dak Prescott sacked 39 times, made the playoffs. Baker Mayfield sacked 40 times, made the playoffs. Justin Fields, 44 times, did not make the playoffs, but he has a 61% completion percentage. He's a lot more accurate than a lot of people say or credit that y'all give him out there. I think that his stats to me is telling of the potential he has, Justin Fields, and I just can't wait to see what's going on. His touchdown to interception ratio in 13 games, he has 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Um, I think he'll cut that down a lot more with us, but we'll see though. You know, I know he will, but we'll see. Zach Wilson, he's up there in Denver right now. I was talking about like I wouldn't mind having a guy like that. He was sacked 46 times last year. I get it. Quarterbacks, y'all, we say, oh, we don't want him like that. And by the way, Zach Wilson was 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 12 games. Uh ain't but so much a quarterback can do, y'all. I mean, when you getting sacked 46 times, that's a lot, yo. That's a lot. Like Bryce Young in Carolina, like you got to think about this. 16 games he played. He was sacked 62 times. 62 times. That is crazy. That is crazy. When 62 times. Think about 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions he had. Bryce Young. Bryce Young he was the second most sack quarterback in the NFL last season. Had 305 completions for 527 attempts. Had a 60 completion percentage, 2,877 yards. Like I said, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, sacked 62 times. Quarterback rating was 33, which is horrible. And his pass rating was 74. But that is because of a lot of the sacks and does 10 interceptions. Okay. Sam Howell. I thought Sam Howell, I honestly think Sam Howell is I like Sam Howell. I do. I look, say what y'all want out there. I like Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell maybe giving Geno Smith a run for his money at that quarterback position. Because look, all right, so we're gonna go find Geno Smith on this list. He was 15th in quarterback sacks, right? 15th. Now this is just we just going we're talking about last year's Seattle Seahawks offensive line versus okay and seeing if they can give that same production to a Sam Howell this year. Geno Smith for the Seattle Seahawks last year had 323 completions out of his 499 attempts. Had a 65% completion percentage. Is 64.7 to be honest, but we'll round that off to 65. I hope y'all agree. Had 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Had a quarterback rating of 60 and a pass rating of 92, but he was sacked 31 times. Now, can we see? Now that is literally a little less than half, right? So 31 times. Imagine Sam Howell being sacked 31 times. He has the most sack quarterback, 65 sacks. I'm gonna read off Sam Howell's stats. I'm sure some people on YouTube can see it, but I gotta be vocal with the other guys who might just be listening. 388 completions, 612 attempts, had a completion percentage of 63. He threw for 3,946 yards. He had 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. So he's 50-50 for the interception touchdown ratio. 65 sacks. His timing was way off, and he had a passer rating of a 79%. Cut that in half. Cut that in half. Cut the sacks in half. I think you cut those sacks in half. you cut down at least, we'll say we'll give them 21 touchdowns, and we'll say, I don't know, you cut down the interceptions to, we'll say 21 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, right? I don't know if it'll went that way, because looking at the way that the Washington Commanders was playing last year, and a lot of what he did was hero balls. He was trying to do too much with the ball. He was impatient in the pocket. His timing was off because of the sacks he took. Now, people, you sit there and say, "Oh, he was scared or he was seeing ghosts." He played all 17 of the games, ladies and gentlemen. He played all 17 of his games. You can't, he went back in there week after week and tried his best for his team, did not give up. He was averaging 232 yards passing per game. Listen, I got the stats pulled up here for everybody that's on YouTube. And this is the regular season. Sam Howell is now with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm telling you, I honestly think he may be about to put Geno Smith back on the bench. I'm just being honest. Now, if you want to talk about from what last year and this year, and he had one of the highest outputs in passing last year, I'm telling you, DK Metcalf will love Sam Howell. You give Sam Howell what, and I'm not saying that he didn't have, McLaurin is the guy. I like McLaurin. But I still think that Seattle's second receiving core was better than Washington's receiving core last year. But we'll get those stats pulled up here and we'll talk about that too. Sam Howell also he passed the most out of every quarterback. He dropped back 612 times. It sacked 65 times. You could say, yeah, that's a whole lot. That's all they did was pass, right? A lot of the times. Still, he completed 388 of them. He played all 17 of his games. And he's not that far off from what Baker put out. Baker put out 4,444 yards. Um, he's right there, almost 4,000 yard season. Should have probably had a 4,000 yard season, but like I said, dropping back that many times and being sacked the most in the NFL. See, we get to looking at stats in such a way that we want things to be pretty all the time. And that's just not the way it is all the time. Everything is not pretty. Everything that glitters not gold. Everything that's shiny, the diamond. Um, gotta look beyond that type of season. I would give him being sacked 31 times. I would give him a 40. I think he has a nice 4,300 yard season up there in Washington. And I think that he throws 12 interceptions. I mean, we praise Jared Goff in the regular season. Okay, so Jared Goff had what, 407 completions, 605 attempts, 67-yard completion percentage. He threw for 4,575 yards. He was averaging 269 yards a game. He had 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, QB rating of 60, and a pass rating of 97. I think Sam Howell replicates what Jared Goff does in such a way. Had he cut his sacks down to half, he was still sacked 35 more times than what Jared Goff was. Let's think about that. Now we'll go to receiving real quick. So I'll click on receiving from and I want to get this pulled up because I think I was just talking about like the receiving core for Washington and who were we talking about? Washington and Seattle. So let's see who had the better receivers last year. Now, this is by the yards per game. This is total yards. So McLaurin had 1,000-yard receiver. He had 1,000-yard season last year. Played all 17 of his games. Um, he had let me see where the touchdowns is at. So the touchdowns is right next to the yards. DK Metcalf actually had him beat out. The DK Metcalf had over 1,000. He had 8 touchdowns. DK had 1,114 yards. That's 1,114 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. And He DK Metcalf did his thing. We know that. So he had receptions. He had 66 receptions out of 119 targets. He was targeted a lot, 119 times last year. Um, McLaurin. No, so where's McLaurin? I know just seeing it. Yeah, McLaurin was 28th, had 79 receptions. He was targeted 132 times. Um, I wish they showed drops, bro. He had 4 touchdowns. So he really didn't see the end zone a lot, but I wish they really had drops, bro. I wish they had drops on here on the ESPN thing because so just so y'all can see the output of it. So the list is different. DK Metcalf is still one of the top 20 in the NFL. He's at 18 in yards, 8 touchdowns. We go down. McLaurin's 28th. Um, Tyler Lockett is literally one, two, three, four, five, six spots behind Terry McLaurin. So then you got DK at what 18, and then we got Tyler Lockett at 35, which is and Terry McLaurin is there. So who else did Sam Howell have on the Washington Commanders as a receiver? As a receiver, who else did he have besides McLaurin? We're still going, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you're listening to me on podcast, we're still going down the list. The next, hold on, let me make sure. Let me just double check and let me make sure that I am not tripping, that I'm not scrolling too fast. So 28th is Terry McLaurin's in. We have to go all the way down to I'm going receiving. Johan Dotson, receiver for the Washington Commanders, all 17 of his games, 49 receptions, 83 targets, 518 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He 86 in the NFL. 86 in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. We talking about you got running backs that has more receiving yards than Sam Howell's second leading reception. So not only did McLaurin not have help. I mean, let's call it what it is. These are professionals. I mean, they open it up for criticism. No, do I know them? No, but I'm just saying this is just we talking stats. We talking this is the facts. This is the stats that's on there. This is what they put up last season, and this is what I'm just trying to say and improving the point that who did Sam Howell have last year but McLaurin? Let's just give Sam Howell what Geno Smith had last year and a experienced Tyler Lockett and a experienced DK Metcalf. Both of them, I'm guessing both of them would be they would both be in the top 20 right now if they had him. I'm speaking on that. Mark Andrews played 10 games and he had as a tight end and he had more receiving yards than Washington's second leading receptionist. All right. If that makes sense for y'all. Um, Austin Eckler, he just went over there, but I'm just saying, nobody else, bro. Nobody else. Nobody else. Who did he have last year? Who did he have? That's all I was trying to say, and that's all I was trying to do. Like, who did the young man have? Now, now I know that they're going off of a lot of other people's lists last year. So what we'll do is the fact check myself. We'll also go and um, we'll say Washington's receivers from last year. Okay. All right, and then because the reason why I want to do it that like that is because I want to make sure Dotson, because yeah, Dotson, yeah, okay. So that was pretty much what they had going on there, and Curtis Samuel, um, Brian Pringle, Jamison Crowder. I mean, this we talking about. We talking about some of these guys like that, and not only that's all I'm saying. Just give them some talent, man. Give them some talent. Give these guys some talent. Give them a break out there. There's just a cheat code. Just a cheat code. I mean, and sometimes the quarterback can make the receivers, but in some ways, man, you gotta give these guys these receivers have to have an understanding of where they're at and the thing because like even though Tyreek Hill is an amazing receiver, an amazing talent, he also still has a good quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. I mean, not dang. He had a good quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. That's a fact, and he also has a good one in Tua Tagovailoa. All right, George Pickens was 16th in the NFL last year, and that was what he had last year between Mason Rudolph and come on, come on, Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. He had, and he still was 16th in the NFL with over 1,000 yard season. That's what I'm. George Pickens is him. He's nice. I just wanted to put that out there real quick. So when we get to looking at the Giants receivers, I'm looking for the Giants receivers. I'm trying to find one. You don't even have one in the top 32, and there, we got 32 teams in the NFL. You still don't have a Giants receiver in the top 32. You don't have a Giants receiver until number 46. And Darius Slayton, he was Darius Slayton 50 receptions, played all 17 of the games, 70, 79 targets, 50 receptions, 770 yards, 4 touchdowns. Of course, we know he was hurt. I'm just saying, like, where's the production out of these guys, man? You gotta we that matters, yo. That matters. Tank Dell played 11 games last season, missed 6 games last season, and he got 709 yards. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, that's just ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that some of these guys are like that, man. It just is, man. Um, Cortland Sutton had a 10 touchdown season last year. Must I say that with the Denver Broncos last year? 10 touchdowns. That's not bad at all. He got in the end zone a lot. Amon St. Brown had 10 touchdowns. Jordan Addison had 10 touchdowns. I don't think the Vikings should have had a better season the way they had it, seeing that they got two of the they got one of the best receiving rooms in the NFL. You gotta admit that. You gotta admit that. We have to say that, y'all. We Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, we gotta say that, y'all. I mean, come on, gotta call it what it is. Sometimes we just can't be out here just faking it like they ain't good. All right, and they got a nice tight end in T.J. Hawkinson. They get somebody who could throw the like. We'll see what he do. And people saying that J.J. McCarthy ain't gonna put up numbers up there in Minnesota. Okay, we'll see. We'll see how that works out for a lot of people up out there. I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna go as what some people may think of with J.J. McCarthy being over there with the Vikings. Like when you got T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, they locking them down. Like that's yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. They're all very productive in what they do. They know what they're doing. And when it comes to receivers, I would rather have a aware route runner over speed all day at receiver. I would rather have a rare route runner. Um Hans Ward wasn't the fastest guy on the field at receiver, not at all. But he was aware where to sit in them zones. He knew where to sit at. He was smart and tough, and he knew how to run a route. And I would rather have that all day, every day, rather than have a guy who can just speed down the field because um, I think it helps out a lot. And I think that's where, to me, that's where the notion comes from when you're taught when these people talk about, oh, what you mean a better receiver? They're in the pros, they're professional receivers. That's what they mean by give me a guy who knows what he's doing at the position. He don't got to be the fastest guy. Just give me somebody who has or just an enormous athletic ability. Give me a guy who knows who's aware of the defense, who knows what's going on, who can recognize too deep right away after the ball snap and know how to make those adjustments because everybody has to do their part on the field. You know what I mean? When you call them, when a quarterback finds the mic on the defense, which is the most dangerous defender to him on the field at that present moment, sometimes the middle linebacker, sometimes it's not. It's just who's dangerous to me in this formation that matched up to what we're in, the personnel that we're in, right? So he identifies that person. It would help tremendously more if your tight end knew where the mic was at, if your receivers knew where the mic was at. So when you caught a hot route, hey, whatever the call is for the hot route, I don't know, whatever it is, pirate defender, whatever, that people got so much different verbiage and so many different calls for signals, and some people may change them every game. You know, knowing where that is, that's good. And see, that's what made Antonio Brown good with us too. Say what you want about him, but Antonio Brown and the system that we was running with him and Big Ben, they knew how to identify the mic, and he would just do a simple drag route and take it to the end and wind up being a 30, 40-yard gain, or sometimes he'd just take it to the crib because they knew how to identify that. Perfect example. We got caught slipping. Tim Tebow caught us slipping. Demetrius Thompson in the playoffs when we played the Denver Broncos. I'll never forget that they caught us slipping. They were able to identify that it was a smart receiver. Being your receivers knowing what defense they're facing up against, that means a whole hell of a lot. And everybody has to do their part on the field. So yes, you got to know what you're doing. Now we know you figure, yeah, these guys are athletically talented, but I would rather have a smart guy any day, man. I would rather have a smart guy any day. I can build your body up. I can have you work out, get on the workout regimen, get you all cut up, maybe get your 40 time up a little bit more. But one thing it's hard to do is train stupid. It just is. You know what I mean? It just is. If you're dumb, you're dumb. I mean, I'm not just saying, never. Hopefully, I'm picking on nobody, but it's hard to train that versus athletic. But before we get on up out of here, man, I would just like to, say thank y'all for kicking it with me up out there, man. Make sure that y'all give me a great review. Follow me on iTunes, um, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Deezer, TuneIn, wherever you catching your podcasts at. I'm there on that platform right now. And this is the morning after with no plan B, baby. I'm on X, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, and YouTube, and also I'm on Twitch. I'll be getting that Twitch together here soon. Again, that'll get back rolling. So y'all can follow me on all the platforms. Go back and dig in the archives. Go check out some old shows, man. I had some great old topics. Let me know how I'm doing up out here. Leave some great reviews on all of those, man. And I appreciate y'all, man, for checking in. I had fun this morning. I got to kicking it whole show, man. Did a whole 2 hours out here for y'all, man. Salute. Y'all have a good one, man. Until the next time, I'm up out of here. Peace.
Want to see Truck and Chubby live and co-host Shad? Tune in at Fans Point of View, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time. But in the meantime, in between time, enjoy the content. Don't forget to hit your notification bell for all updates. Thank you for watching.